Hello everyone and welcome again to RGT. Today I want to talk about the use of sound in video games. It obviously goes without saying that sound doesn't just cover the background music, but everything else, from the sound of the character's footsteps, weapon sounds and the like. As I'm sure a lot of you have experienced, if any of these sound assets are executed badly, it can really hinder and sometimes even completely ruin the experience of the game. Of course, the backing music is just as vital, and that's what I want to focus on today. Backing music is important regardless of genre, obviously, but in my opinion it plays an even more important role in the horror genre. If we look at Amnesia: The Dark Descent by Frictional Games as an example, I'm sure most people who have played this game will agree that it's one of the scariest games to come out in a very long time, and in my opinion, one of the very few true horror games to come out at all in recent years. This comes from a number of factors, obviously, but the greatest one for me, at least, is the sense of atmosphere that the game has. This feeling is, of course, not down to any one thing, but in my personal opinion, the biggest factor that builds this atmosphere so effectively is the sound. Now, let's take a look for a moment and just listen to this layers of sound that Amnesia has. If you listen carefully, you can hear layer upon layer of sound, each adding to the tension and putting the player at unease. Through a subtle change in these sounds, the developers can invoke a change in the player's emotions. It can make them feel more relaxed, as a respite after a high tension moment, or push tension and unease into all-out terror. It all serves to deepen the immersion of the game, and obviously, by extent, the player. Now I want to talk about the use of sound in a very different way, where it is used very sparsely, but very effectively, to the point where there's an almost complete lack of sound, but where it is used, it's very effective. This time, I'm going to be using Playdead's Limbo as the example. This game obviously isn't a horror game, kind of goes without saying, but it still is, in my opinion, a very atmospheric one. Now, what the game portrays to me the strongest is a sense of almost crushing loneliness. Obviously, a big part of this is the aesthetic that the developers chose and executed very well, but the sparse use of sound is also a big part of what makes this sense of atmosphere so cloying almost. Let's just listen to it for a moment. As you can see, there is a complete lack of any backing music, and the only sounds to be heard are natural ones such as footsteps, the rustling of trees and such. This, combined with the film noir kind of graphic style, portrays a very strong sense of loneliness to the player. The atmosphere is a presence in itself, and plays a huge part in what makes this game so immersive and unique as well. The sounds in this title were obviously chosen with great care, and also where within the experience to place them was very well executed as well. I mean, if you just think about the experience of Limbo as a whole, throughout the game there's no music, just the natural sounds, as I've already said. And this, in my opinion, leaves the player feeling almost abandoned, as if the world they're finding themselves is very empty. And that, combined with the well-executed aesthetic of the game, gives this sense of loneliness and really gives an extra layer of depth to the game. It really drives home what the feeling of the game is supposed to be. But obviously these are just two examples of the use of sound in gaming, and of course there are many more that I could have talked about, but I mention these because I feel they show my point the best. That sound is something that can lift your game above and beyond and make it a truly immersive experience for the player. And if it's executed very well, as it has been in these games that I've talked about, it can really lift your game up and make it something so immersive for the player that they just find themselves getting lost within the game. Anyway, I think that's it for now. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again soon.